Okay, now do the rezoning
Yes, ma'am.
From
From A2 forestry
A2 to
agricultural
R6.
to R6.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries also.
And when the plat comes up, that'll be a different subject. See, so, anyway.
Done that before.
Yeah. All right, next will be Mr. Michael Morone, County Coordinator Report.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioners, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Let's go straight to item number 2. We already did item number 1, board action to reduce the posted speed limit on 3 county roads in District 1. Commissioner Jones has received complaints of speeding on Avenue A, Carroll Street, and Twin Lakes Road, which are all in residential neighborhoods. Commissioner Jones has requested a reduction in the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on these streets.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Ask the engineer to look at the lowering the speed. Is
Okay.
that what the motion is?
Yeah, basically with a recommendation. That's what's needed.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by
Me?
Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Item number 3, board action to authorize the chairman's signature on a letter of support for the Apalachicola National Estuarine Research Reserve. This letter will be sent to your federal legislative delegation. A copy of a sample letter is included in your packet.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Board action to approve the changes to the retiree health insurance subsidy policy. The revised policy extends the vesting period for the retiree health insurance subsidy from 6 to 10 years of service, clarifies the benefit, and provides for a transitional sunset period for the policy. This policy affects retirees 15 years more into the future. A copy of the policy is included in your packet.
I would like to see the board table this matter for the time being.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Board action to authorize the chairman's signature on a resolution to repair Old Ferry Dock boat ramp with funds from the Florida Boating Improvement Program. The board has expressed a desire to repair this boat ramp in the past. These funds will be for the design phase of a renovation project that would include the construction of a new seawall, widening the boat ramp, and stormwater improvements. Design of the project would cost approximately $45,000, and the construction phase would be at least $500,000. A copy of that resolution is attached to your packet.
We have seen talked about this Old Ferry Dock Road boat ramp for a long time, and I agree with the recommendation that we try to move forward with applying for a grant to get that done.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6, board action to authorize the chairman's signature on a resolution authorizing the county to apply for additional funds for the removal of derelict vessels. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission notified that there is additional funding for the removal of more derelict vessels. Mr. Currington is in the process of locating and compiling a list of vessels for removal. Once this list is complete, I will know the total amount that the county will be applying for.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? I will let the board know that I talked to FWC myself about 2 additional boats in the Apalachicola River in Franklin County that need to be removed, and if they've got some additional money, I think we need to move forward and remove these derelict vessels.
Mr. Chairman, if I can make one statement. When we started talking about this derelict vessel stuff, it said we had a sailboat over there off of summer camp. That sailboat is still sitting there. It's been
Okay.
almost a year. And when, I know before we contacted Captain Woods. And can y'all please contact Captain Woods again?
I will.
And see what the status of that sailboat is? It needs to come out of there.
Okay, I will.
I have talked to Mark on this issue and making sure that we're trying to remove all these derelict vessels across the county. I know he said he's been to Carabel on a couple of different issues, and they're working with the owner on one. One is still tied to the dock, and
As long as it's tied to the dock, you
yes,
can't
that's
do
another
nothing
issue.
to it.
But I have made it clear to Mark.
If they'll look into this sailboat over there, because they were supposed to, the last report we got, they were supposed to been talking to the owner to get this thing out of there, and it's still laying over on the side,
Yeah.
right there at summer camp.
Like what the chairman's alluding to too, the boat must be assigned, that derelict, designated derelict by FWC before we could say, go ahead and take that boat, so.
Yeah, sometimes
It's
that
not,
takes some
not an easy process,
You
so.
gotta be so far from the dock too, because that boat.
Yes, sir.
That boat's lines ain't really tied to the dock in Carabel. That's turned upside down and broke all the pieces. Really ain't tied to
Supposed to
nothing.
be one boat on top of another, ain't
One
it,
boat
or
on
something?
top of another, it's on top of
Yeah.
just Carabel.
Yeah. It's-
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, see, can they put some of them derelict houses on there with them?
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
You guys trying to make Mark Gray really quick. Inform the board that on November 3rd, 2016, Mr. George Floyd received a field permit from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for emergency beach restoration along approximately 500 feet of beachfront that was eroded by Hurricane Hermine on his property along West Bayshore Drive. Following our standard procedures for emergency DP permits, Franklin County issued a permit for the work on February 6, 2017. The work is currently being performed. The action will move the 50-feet critical habitat zone to its pre-Hurricane Hermine location. All this I say, Commissioners, to let you guys know this has nothing to do with the project with the wall and the dredging. This is a DEP, this is some standard we do. People get docks torn up during the hurricane, we issue permits for that. Once DEP says yes, we, for the most part, we approve those also. Just clarify that information. Item number 8. Board action to authorize Ms. Alan Pierce to represent the county at upcoming mediation with Capital City Bank regarding Alligator Point in Tallahassee. As this has been an ongoing litigation, Mr. Pierce is more familiar with the facts than I am.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
I fail to state that Attorney Schuler will also be traveling with Mr. Pierce to these. Mr. Pierce is not an attorney by any means.
I add to my motion for Attorney Schuler.
I'll amend my
Do we need-
second to reflect that also.
The motion and the second has been amended to reflect that Attorney Schuler will also attend.
Thank you. Item number 9, inform the board, the county has received a permit application to erect a 120-foot tower in the public right-of-way on Jefferson Street in East Point from Mobile Light. I got to stop here. Jefferson Street in East Point, that's what it says in the application. Somebody could explain where Jefferson Street?
Where the bank's at.
Centennial Bank.
Really? That's what that's called. Now I know. Attached to your packet is a letter, I'm sorry? Attached to your packet is a letter explaining why Mr. Currington returned the application, including the $120 check. Besides the items listed in the letter, there is also a matter of their request to place the tower in the county's public right-of-way. There's been an ongoing discussion with Mr. Currington, Attorney Schuler, and Mobile Light's representative, Mr. Brown, as to the tower being placed on the county's right-of-way or on private property where other communication towers are in the county. For discussion.
Private property is where they belong.
Sir.
Yes,
I-
I thought you did a fine job, except it's pronounced mobility.
Oh, mobility. My bad,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, the Mobility is a company, a nationwide company, the way I understand it, that in the state of Florida has taken the position that their cell phone towers are not actually cell phone towers, they're utility poles, and therefore they're entitled to the same exemption that utility poles are entitled to be placed within our right-of-ways. Of course, they're completely different in nature because they're not attached to wires, they're all wireless, and they are certainly much higher than the other transmission electric poles that you see in these residential areas. So it is a statewide issue. The Florida Association of County Attorneys actually formed a subcommittee that issued a white paper on this exact subject matter, which has been tremendously helpful to me in not having to recreate the wheel on this issue. But the application has been returned as incomplete at this time because it is incomplete. And we'll have to wait what response we get from Mobility, and then we'll review that and take action accordingly.
On this subject, if I'm not badly mistaken, I was doing some reading, and I think there's a bill coming before the legislature that's gonna allow these people to put this on public right of way. Not that I agree with it, but, for some reason, I mean, is this a single pole, Michael, or is it a
monopole.
tripod?
It is a monopole.
Okay.
And they are wanting it to be at 4 feet from the edge of the paved surface of Jefferson Street, which of course means that it violates the clear fall regulations. I mean, you've got to have essentially a safety buffer between these poles in case they should fall. And they, by their own documentation that they submitted to us, which was incomplete, their own documents show a clear fall zone of about, I think it was 25 or 30 feet, yet they're wanting to place it within 4 feet of the right of way.
And that's dangerous. If somebody runs off the road, they're gonna hit a big pole there. Whereas your light poles are all the way back to the very edge of the right of way, bordering private property is typically where they would set their pole out, not next to the road. So if you blow a tire and run off the road, you don't run into a utility pole. If you always notice, the utility poles are set back off the road as far as possible before they enter private property, on the county public right of way, so. Anyway, appreciate y'all bringing that to the board. It says board discussion, so any other comments from board members?
I mean, I don't go along with it because, well, you said something coming up in the legislature, but they ain't passed it yet.
Not yet. But, but there needs to be stipulation as to how close they can be to a paved road in the fall zone that the attorney, talking about, which is the way we've always looked at, cell towers and stuff of that nature. Following on a neighbor's house or whatever. So we've always been pretty strict about where we allow that to happen.
I wanted to come in here, but I don't want to.
We'll do it the right way. Exactly. Move forward, Mike.
Item number 10, inform the board the chairman signed a letter of support for the sheriff's office. In this letter, the sheriff is seeking a grant for body-worn cameras for his deputies. A copy of that letter is attached.
Okay, now this come up after our last board meeting, and they had a deadline on this grant. And I think everybody was made aware of that.
I did, I notified
And
you
I asked the attorney yesterday
individually.
if we needed to complete the ratification of me signing that.
Well, I'm not clear, did he sign a grant or a letter
No,
of support?
it was just a letter of support, and I notified each commissioner individually of
Right.
this
I
letter.
think that you should have a motion from the board ratifying the chairman's signature. I mean, you're speaking for the
So
board,
moved.
you weren't
Yeah.
speaking as Commissioner Parrish.
Okay,
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders and a second by Commissioner Lockley.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? And my question about this is, I don't want the board to feel like I'm doing something that ahead of the board or acting on behalf of the board. That's not my scope of duties there, is to speak for the board unless authorized by the board to speak for the board.
That's right.
But as I said, the deadline was coming, and as Michael said, he informed everybody of what was going on, so I appreciate that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
we already addressed item number 11, so we'll go on to item number 12, inform the board that Area Agency on Aging has scheduled their citizens meeting for March 8th. The purpose of these meetings is to gather input from seniors and other concerned citizens in Franklin County about what programs and services they believe are most needed in the community. These meetings will be in Carabel at 10, East Point at 11:30, and Apalachicola at 2 p.m. The location for these meetings are still to be determined.
Now, real quick, Mike, how are we supposed to let the public know where these meetings are going to be?
I'll put it on the website probably, it'd be the quickest way for me to do it, and send it to both the newspaper and to Oyster Radio.
Okay.
As soon as I get the locations for each of the meetings.
Okay.
They're pretty important, because people really, you know.
March the 8th. Now, when is our next board meeting?
7th.
7th. So we'll have a meeting before then that we can actually announce and try to help get this information out.
I will.
Okay.
Next meeting. This one here, item number 13, inform the board that registration is open for the Florida Association of Counties 2017 Legislative Day. A copy of the preliminary agenda is attached to the packet, with Wednesday, April 5th being the main day of activities. As rooms are limited in Tallahassee, let me know as soon as possible if any of you are attending.
Could we have a motion from the board authorizing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley, to authorize the travel expense for any commissioner who would like to attend legislative days. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Item 14, remind the board that the annual charity cook-off and auction will be, that should be chili cook-off and auction will be on March 4th on St. George Island. Some of the activities include a golf tournament, the 5K Red Pepper Run, the chili cook-off, and auction. I need board action to close Chili Boulevard and West Gulf Beach Drive from Franklin Boulevard to First Street for Friday and Saturday, the days of the event, March 3rd and 4th, for the event. There is still availability for chili and crock pot chili cook-off contestants. Can you cook, sir?
So we need board action to close the road that we always close every year.
Yes, sir, it's common. We do this every year.
We have a motion by Commissioner Massey,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
And finally, Commissioners, inform the board that Attorney Kevin Steiger is leaving his post as the Chief Assistant Public Defender in Franklin County and is taking a position in Leon County. Attorney Steiger has served the residents in Franklin County for over 20 years. Attorney Courtney, if I pronounce it correctly, Miller, will serve as Franklin County's new Chief Assistant Public Defender.
Mr. Chairman, Michael, won't you just get send a letter of thanks from the board for Mr. Steiger's
Okay.
service to
Sure
Franklin
will.
County?
Been there a long time.
And I'll make that into a motion.
A second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
And one more thing, as I look at clock, 11:30, don't forget about the press event at 12 noon. That's where that's where your podium went to.
Okay.
Oh, well, it moved through.
Next will be Attorney Schuler's report.
Commissioner, I need directions from the board on the request by TMH that the county directly negotiate with both a management company and also involve TMH in those discussions. Your last directions were for myself and Mr. Morone to negotiate directly with TMH only. So I need some directions from the board and some authority as to how you want me to proceed.
Well, that's what our direction was for you and Michael to be working with TMH and TMH only.
And that's why I'm
That's
coming
what
back to the
that's
board.
what the agreement was. I would say it still holds, because we're still in the agreement.
When is the
Wait a
period come to ever, Michael? When is the period come to ever, the 60 days?
Up
March.
until the 7th, sir.
March the 7th.
Yeah, March
the
7th.
That's the last day of the 60-day extension that we have standing right now.
When she gets running.
Okay.
But TMH is wanting to schedule and have some of these companies come down and have discussions with myself and Mr. Morone on behalf of the board, as y'all have directed us to do. But the authority that you gave us was to negotiate with TMH, and I don't want to negotiate with some other party without the board's knowledge and approval.
But it was to negotiate with TMH, because that's what our extension said.
Correct, but this is for the process of moving forward beyond the extension and moving into the ultimate management that TMH is recommending to the county to consider for the future operations of the hospital and the construction of any new hospital that the board would authorize.
So, question, Mr. Chairman?
No.
So can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
So in the, oh, I brought my glasses. So in the past, TMH was gonna get a third party, but Franklin County would always have the agreement with TMH, not that third party. Am I right?
That's what we
Remember?
were told was going to be the format, and apparently when that last company, the Alliant, I can't remember the exact name, Alliant, whenever they pulled out because they had some internal structural change in the management of Alliant, that perhaps is the reason why TMH is now wanting the county to directly negotiate with a management company. And so they're essentially wanting the same, or proposing the same deal, but instead of TMH being the person you contract with, it would be the management company having a direct contract with the county, and then TMH having its relationship with the manager of the hospital. That is what I've been told is how TMH wants to structure the negotiations moving forward.
But that's
But
not.
that wasn't the authority that I had.
But that's what I'm saying, that was not what we were told when we passed that.
Extension, and we're still under extension.
Yes,
Sir, up until
Well,
the
that-
7th.
I wanna, can I say something? Now, I can't get it together like you're saying it, but what I'm understanding, why would, if we gonna talk to another company, and they gonna be, Alliance said they out of the picture, right?
Yes, sir, that's my understanding, is that they are out, and Mark O'Brien is looking for a management company to recommend to the board for your consideration, but I don't feel like I can negotiate directly with that management company unless I have further authorization from the board. So that's why I'm coming back here today to ask, to inform you of where we are in a public setting, and then to request, some authority and direction from the board on how you want me to proceed on this request from TMH.
I guess my question will be, if you got a management company and they decide they want to manage it, wouldn't they want to just manage it by themselves? What the deal is there?
Well, that is what's being proposed by TMH for the board to consider, is that the county directly enter into a management agreement with this company to run the hospital. That would be just between you, the county, and that management company.
TMH would not be
TMH
nowhere,
TMH would not be involved in that contractual relationship directly, but what TMH would do is they would still continue to have a brand appearance and some relationship directly with the management company. The details have obviously not been worked out because I've not had any meetings with them to try and flesh this out.
I don't mean no harm by this, but this don't sound good to me. Because I've always thought that somewhere along the line, no matter what, TMH, we would be, why do we not have somebody from TMH coming down and talking to us on this stuff? I mean, I love you to death, Michael, you know that. But we need to know what transpired from the last time that they presented that plan, asked for that extension, what has transpired from there to now that they said they're willing to help us get a management company, where before it was, they would get a management company, but we would answer to TMH, or we would work with TMH. What has happened, and we don't know.
That's correct. To directly address your question, I have already extended the invitation for some representative, preferably Mr. O'Brien, to come down from Tallahassee. I have been told they have agreed to do that, but he wants to come down and with this management company and have that discussion and make the introduction to you. But I don't feel like I can facilitate this discussions with the management company because the authority that the board gave to me as your attorney was to negotiate with one party, not two parties. So
Well,
that's
is
why
it-
I'm bringing this issue back to you to request, do you want to authorize me to have these discussions with a third party or not?
Is this more like a recommendation from
Yes,
TMH? For
That's
another
the way
company?
that is my interpretation. All I've had are discussions between myself and counsel for TMH, that Mark O'Brien is recommending that the structure of the relationship be a direct contract between the county and the management company. TMH, I am told, is still committed to being involved in the community and involved in supporting our hospital, but they would have their own direct relationship with the management company.
So they recommending these some companies they done picked up?
This is a company they haven't officially told me who they're going to recommend, but Mark O'Brien is going to recommend a management company to you, and when he selects that company for your consideration, he's going to come down here and have a public meeting with the board and introduce this company to you and explain, this is who he wants, this is why he wants it, this is why he's making that recommendation to you, is my understanding of the process that TMH wants you to consider.
I still
The
don't.
first thing, if we'd ever get the truth told us from the beginning, we'd know what was going on.
Well,
You know,
that's true.
that's the whole thing, because it changes every other meeting, it changes.
Well,
Come out to the hospital, it changes.
Well,
Well-
and I'm like this, you know, this is the reason why I made a motion a few weeks ago that didn't go nowhere because of that. Because we've got other facilities out there. You've got Gaston County doing it one way. You've got, Calhoun Liberty doing it another way. You've got it, Wakulla doing another way. I mean, there's other things out there that we can look at, but won't know until you look. So, I'm kind of concerned. I have to say, I am kind of concerned with the fact that the agreement, we knew that TMH was going to kind of like scan these, management companies and make their recommendation, but our agreement was going to be with TMH and not no management company. It was going to be between Franklin County and the, TMH, and I'm kind of like uneasy with that. Now it looks like TMH is kind of like maybe seeing the writing on the wall, maybe. I mean, you won't know until you talk to them, so it concerns me.
But then, yeah, me too, but we still got to move on. We got to move forward. Without, TMA said they ain't gonna do it. Alliance said they ain't gonna do it. We still got to move forward if we're gonna keep the hospital open. We got to do something.
What I would request that the board consider is extending your current agreement with TMH basically on a month-to-month basis until the board can conclude whatever discussion with the management companies that you may authorize me to engage in at today's meeting. Because we're definitely not going to conclude this process by your current deadline of March the 7th. And the attorney for TMH has told me that they want to extend this agreement on a month-to-month basis while you complete that process of discussions with a management company that's recommended to you by TMH.